Hi, and welcome to another edition of Authority Marketing Live. I am Melanie Hirschhorn coming to you from my basement where I am avoiding all things COVID. So I am so excited to be here today because I have a wonderful guest, and she actually booked with me so long ago that it was just like, finally, yes, I get to talk to her today. So Mimika Cooney is a prolific author. She is a mindset coach for primarily Christian women. And I invite you to learn lots as I bring her on right now. So, hi, Mimika.
Hey, hi, Melanie. I appreciate you having me on, even with all the crazy that's going on in your life, right?
Well, I appreciate you being here and, adjusting your schedule to meet my crazy needs. So thank you so much.
No worries.
So let's dive right in and talk about the book that you are writing right now. Because you said that you've got 8 books already that you've written. And now you're writing number 9. And so why don't we talk about what number 9 is and what it's about?
Sure. Yeah. Well, the book I'm busy writing now is called Unstick Your Mind, which is really based on my signature coaching process that I work with on clients. And it's really working through the process of my whole system. And I love to use this book as in ways of like a brand authority piece. Because as you mentioned, I've done 8 books before in different genres. Now, I've always
Right.
loved to write. I've had my hand a little to children's fiction, but fiction is not really my jam. But it was a good experiment, right?
Yeah,
But what I really
absolutely.
what I really love to do is I love to be able to write nonfiction books with the teaching and storing elements to that, because I really believe books are their own brand, are their own little entity. So for me, like now, this business model that I have, it's going on 5 years. And before that, I had been in a branding strategist. So I actually worked with other entrepreneurs, helping them publish their books and get their ideas out there and repositioning themselves. So I was doing it for everybody else, but I reckoned I needed to do it for myself. So, long story short, I decided about 7 years ago, I wanted to transition out of doing brand strategy and really get into coaching because of my own personal experiences with burnout and breakdown, and realized this kind of work is so important. So as I'm repositioning myself in the market, I really believe in using books as a tool to really put your signature like message or talk or like your thought piece. And I believe, the books are like bodies of work that live on beyond us. Like even some of my books that I wrote, 2011, 2018, are still impacting people today. So whenever I'm having a bad day, I just need to go read my Amazon reviews. I'm like, okay, good. This is still working. Because I always say
Yeah,
writing a
you know,
book is like having a baby, right? You know what that's like. It's so painful. And then at the end, it's this major push. And you're like, oh my gosh. And I get to do
yes.
it again.
Exactly. And I was going to say 2 things. Don't read Amazon reviews always, because sometimes people on Amazon are in a bad mood and they take it out on Amazon. And secondly, I love how you talked about it's like pushing out a baby, because then once you pushed out the baby, you got to raise the baby. And that's where your book marketing comes in. So,
Exactly.
so you've got this book that you are working on right now. And it is basically, you're saying, I'm a mindset coach and I wrote the book on it.
Yeah, I suppose you could say that. Well, not that I am the only person who does this, but in my
But
own way. And this is the thing, is I believe that, even though there are millions and millions of books out there, no one is you, and no one can share the story in a unique way that you have in the way that the journey that brings you here today, right? So for me, and I love how you say, like, we authors, especially first time authors, really love the whole process, and they think the big thing is got to write the book, got to write the book. But what happens afterwards? And for me, my whole emphasis was teaching the marketing and the using it as a tool to get on stages or to speak on podcasts, or to really use it as a tool to get clients, because you can't just write a book and throw it up and expect it to breathe on its own, right? Like, we have to feed this and we have to keep it going. So I think this is, a really integral part, that there's so many people who have wonderful stories and ideas they want to get out into books, but it doesn't end there. That is just the very first stage. And even though, like, I just helped a client friend of mine publish her book a few months ago, and I literally had to drag her over the finish line. I'm like, girl, no one's going to be able to read this unless you actually get this thing done. Like, just get it out there. So we finally got it out there. And now she's like, oh, wow, I didn't realize how much work this would be after it was published. I'm like, now your real work begins.
It's true. And I feel like you're preaching to the choir here with me, but it's so true that authors don't realize what's involved after, because just the creation of the book is so strenuous and so taxing and so transformational in a way. And then you think, okay, I'm done. No, you're not. No, you're not. So let's talk about your book specifically. What can people expect when they pick up a copy of Unstick Your Mind when it's ready?
Yeah. Yes, exactly. So right now, I'm still in the process of writing it, and I'm self-publishing. In the last sort of 7 books I have done self-published. So the first 2, I had a traditional publisher, and that was a whole nother experience. And I wasn't a fan, just because of the whole lack of control, and things like I wasn't even able to use my own content without their permission. And I'm like, hang on, I wrote the book on this. Why are we doing this? But there's time and place, for traditional versus self-publishing. But primarily for me, my book is really a doorway to introduce people to my concepts. Like, I have a 12-step signature process to teaching women how to get unstuck mentally, like to overcome mental blocks, how to prevent or recover from burnout, how to reposition themselves, their mindset shifts they need to make in order to be who they need to be for their own family, for their team, for their business. Because, as you know, women have, really been hit hard with the last few years of what we've been through, that they are taking on so much more, that it's really vital for us to put the right pieces into place and take time for like self-care. But the way that I've developed my whole process is, I come from a sports figure skating background, and I was a classically trained ballet dancer. So I have that, let's train you, as opposed to let's just talk about it. So I always say it's not for the faint of heart. It's if you're ready to do the work and you're ready to put the hard work in, just like going to the gym, right? If you have a personal trainer at the gym, I'm the personal trainer for your mind. So my whole book is laid out as a way of really introducing this concept of mindset, and with tips and tools that people can actually action. And then once they read the book, if they like what they read and they want more, then they can definitely reach out and then, apply to work with me. So that's pretty much what I'm working on right now.
Okay, I love that. And you have a freebie for our viewers, and I'm going to put that right there. So mimikacooney.com/live. What can they get when they click there?
Yeah, well, I'm always updating the kind of trainings I offer, but I always have a video training. And this particular one is really about, overcoming mindset blocks and resetting your mind. And it's really useful. So really the idea is, take an hour out of your time, use it as self-care, and learn some tips if maybe things about you haven't thought about. Because my whole job is to help you think about what you're thinking about. Because when you know what you're thinking about, then you can make strategic decisions about the next steps and the next right thing that you need to do in order to get to where you want to. So yeah, that's definitely, go ahead and sign up for that. That is a video training packed with value. And I'd love to connect with people that way.
Wonderful. So what are some of your favorite ways to do self-care? Since you're telling us to do it, what are some of the things you do?
Yeah, well, as I said, I have my hobby, which is once a week I go and meet up with my coach at the ice rink, and she's like, I'm going to see you there every Tuesday.
So you're still
yes.
figure skating.
Well, this is the thing, is I never skated as a child. I was a ballet dancer. I took up skating at the age of 31, and I took on as a personal mission to retrain my brain. So I'm my own guinea pig. So I decided, you can teach an old dog new tricks. So for the last sort of 10 years or so, I've been working with a coach. Now, the thing is that for adults, we overthink everything. Everything takes so much longer.
I would be like, I'm going to fall and die.
Yeah, no, I mean, you will fall, it's guaranteed. So you may as well just accept you're going to fall. But, it's not going to be the end of it. You'll just get yourself up again. And that whole process of, that's life, right? You get ups and downs. You feel great some days. Other days you feel terrible. Some days it's like things are going well. And it's just the whole concept of just get back up again, that, no matter what hard knocks you get. And for me, and it's taking that time where I put it in my diary that I don't do calls. I don't do any business stuff. It's a day that I say, this is just for me. I be able to think, because you need your brain. You need to give yourself some brain breaks. I think a lot of us, women are always multitasking, and that's actually a myth. It's not multitasking, it's just switching from one thought process to another. And then that's what that frustration feels like when you get to the end of the day and you're like, I didn't get to anything. Like, why do I feel like nothing's done?
Yeah.
And really, like, rather pick one thing and do that well and finish it with completion. And then reward yourself. Go for a massage, have a nap, take a bath, go for a walk, go skating, whatever your thing is, and allow your brain to go, wow, I'm so great job. Pat yourself on the back. And then I'm ready for tomorrow and what tomorrow brings. So yeah, that is definitely would be my advice for a self-care routine.
I wish I could say that I do that, but I
Now,
don't. And
now tell me, why wouldn't you though? Why would you not prioritize yourself?
ooh, I love that question. Throwing it back at me. Well, to be honest, I don't know.
Well,
I guess
we
because
would have to start with that. Now, why
there's
don't we know?
well, there's so many other things that take priority. I've got 2 kids that I have to keep healthy and alive. A
So
husband.
you have a husband and kids in a business. So I have a question. Do you think you would be more effective if you put your own oxygen mask on first?
Absolutely, of course. It's just the mechanics of it, how to do
Hmm.
that. If it were literally just an oxygen mask, I'd go
Yeah,
done.
exactly.
But
Challenge, right? And this is exactly why I get excited about doing what I do, because this is almost like a lie or a story we tell ourselves as women, that we can't have the life that we know we really crave because we're busy living the life according to somebody else's standards. And unless we take 100% responsibility for 100% of the results, we're always feeling like it's the weather or it's the politics or it's the kids. And for me, that's why I feel like I'm so empowered to share this message. And it's not to say that I'm standing on a soapbox and yelling at everyone. Believe me, I went through this myself. I am a recovering control freak. I gave up my membership to Control Freaks Anonymous, and things are so much more calmer. I still am a work in progress when it comes to being a perfectionist. I work towards excellence. And that is the whole process, is just saying, I can't afford not to take care of me. And to give you a little bit of a backstory, the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing today is, as I mentioned, I was a branding strategist for like 7 years, always doing the things, always prioritizing clients and children and whatever else. And I wasn't watching the signs, like the headaches and the moods and the energy levels aren't doing so well. And you get a little ratty. And then in 2016, I had like a trifecta where I had a close family member pass away from cancer. I had a child in crisis and business failure. And eventually, my body gave in. I literally hit burnout and breakdown where I couldn't get out of bed. For 3 months, I physically felt ill, like chronic, body aches. I had headaches. I was losing weight. I just was constantly crying. And my husband was like, I don't know what to do with you, but this is something's going on. Like, men are like, oh, I can't fix this. And I realized, like, my husband is the head of the home, but I'm the heart. And as if my heart's broken, everybody, including the dogs, are going to feel it. So I'd realized, in order to be a best service to all of them and those around me, I had to take care of me first, because you can't pour out of an empty cup. Like, if you're riding on fumes, there's only one option, is to run out of gas and be stuck on the side of the road or totally blow a head gasket. I don't advise that. Or don't wait till you get to that stage. But it's almost like, and it doesn't have to be big. I think we make such a big deal about self-care has to be, you don't have to go away for
yeah,
7
it's
days.
like right. It has to be this big production, and then it's like, well, I don't have time for that, so I'm just going to keep going.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is it's actually incremental little things that you can do, like a 10-minute nap or a 10-minute walk, or just changing the scenery, or doing something that stops you from thinking that you have to do, and just like relax. And that's why, people talk about meditation, and I don't really like the whole Eastern philosophy around it. But what I do like is the idea of being contemplative. Like, can you sit for 10 minutes and be quiet and just contemplate what you're thinking, what you're feeling, what you're processing, because that'll help to slow down your central nervous system. Because most of us are living in a parasympathetic nervous system, like fight or flight, like, oh my gosh,
I am.
reacting.
Yes, that's me right now. I am fight or I am flight. There's no in between.
And you know what happens after that? After the adrenaline crashes, the other option is, most of us, it affects your immune system, all that cortisol and adrenaline. And then if you eventually end up sick, or you end up tired or broken down or something, like basically you run out of gas. And what happens to those cars? They don't go nowhere. So I'm always trying to challenge women to say, you can't afford to ignore this. Like, your health is priority and your well-being. And that even if you say, I know I can't take the time off that I'd love to take a week off. Sometimes that's not possible, but just even think 10 or 15 minutes a day. How can I work this into my day? Like, literally, let's be honest. How much time do we waste scrolling on Instagram or Facebook or social? Like, how much time is that? If you could just say, I'm just going to put my earphones on, I'm going to listen to some classical music or something that'll just calm me down, and just lay on the bed with my feet up on the floor, let the blood flow back into your head and your extremities and your heart. Even that is like, it's amazing how that can actually rejuvenate you. I remember the days when babies were little, like going to the bathroom, and it's the only place they could leave you alone. And even then they're hanging on the door handle, right? And it's like,
the fingers under the door. Yes.
yeah. Now we have the dog trying to shove his feet as well. And I'm like, okay, something's got to give. And I say to my husband, I have these moments, I'm like, for my sanity and your safety, you better move out of the way, because mama's gonna blow. And when we blow, that is going to be a bigger problem. So I would just challenge everyone listening today that, think about what you're thinking about, and don't put yourself at the bottom of the list, because really, if you have so many responsibilities, whether it's your family or your husband or your team members in your business, when the wheels fall off the bus, it's so much more effort to put it back together than if we could prevent it and slow it down. And this is a concept I teach my clients, which at first they're like, what? I'm like, we have to slow you down to speed you up. We've got to take the little clunker off the road, put it back in the garage, work under the hood, maybe fix the head gasket and re-oil and retire. So instead of the banged up Beetle you're driving, we can put you on the road in a fabulous Ferrari, because then I can tell you the ride will be so much more fun and you'll get there so much faster.
So much faster. Okay. Mimika Cooney, everybody. You can go and grab some amazing trainings here at mimikacooney.com/live. Thank you so much for being here. Your new book, Unstick Your Mind, when can we expect that to come out?
Probably the beginning of next year, once, if all things work out.
Okay, amazing. But in the meantime, there's lots of wonderful things to see on your website. Thank you so much for coming today.
Yeah, you're welcome. As I said, I've always got lots of resources. I also have my own podcast, the Mimika TV show. So you can go, it's a video podcast. Lots of free resources and videos if you want a little bit of a pep me up. I do offer a lot of advice and help there, and some tips and resources. So definitely look me up online. I look forward to connecting.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Have a great day.